Warning, this video contains rumors, speculation, strong opinions, and
That's the short one. Hey, RJ, how's it going, brother?
Hello.
I did some clickbaity shit with my thumbnail. I will explain. Yes, rumors, speculation, and you immediately said, as soon as I told you what we're potentially going to talk about, I was like, "Whoa, you're wrong, Max."
And you're not wrong. This is there was a new update that just broke
few
minutes ago.
I do. So we're going to talk about that, and I have been getting. I'll be real. I've been getting a little frustrated with movie talk because I think we're missing out on great conversations because people want to get their points across and
I think people are too emotional, and I feel like people are I think people are too hesitant to want to talk about some hard-hitting topics because they don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, we both have been consistently saying we wish Ezra the best. Now, when I did the Toby Emmerich, I still don't think he's safe, even with the article. And I think potentially, besides the failures of Warner Brothers, besides just the DC, all the projects that have gone bad, the day and date, I think the relationship with talent and also enabling, like Ray Fisher said, and I never thought I'd go back to the Ray Fisher argument, RJ, but the Ray Fisher thing is very apropos right now because enabling bad behavior and not addressing it is a failure on management. And this whole debacle with the Flash, I've never seen a situation this bad where it's this far out. Yes, things can change. He could turn it around, but it doesn't seem like that's what they're concerned with. They're just more concerned with getting to the Flash and pausing and moving on, honestly. And I don't blame them. Listen, we could all say, oh, we want Ezra to continue, and we do. But if you were in charge and your job was to put your company in a good light, also there's added pressure for these properties and these characters to be role models for youth too. I think there's a strong conversation about how ultimately, and I do always put fired as clickbait because basically in Hollywood, you just don't get your contract extended. I have to research also for later video or MME Live of when Toby's contract is up for renewal too, because that would be a good.
Well, supposedly his contract expires at the end of this year.
Okay,
but I mean, they're saying he's going to stay. But the question is, how long does he stay? Does he just
then he would have to get renewed. So I did the clickbait saying fired, but basically, unless you're Harvey Weinstein, you don't get really fired unless things don't go move forward. Just like Ezra, is he going to get fired? Ezra, no, he's probably just not going to get new projects, green lights, especially when the projects have this much money behind them. And we're going to watch a few clips. One is going to be from Mikey and Sil, and the other is from the John Campea show. But for today, and I'll tell you what, John Campea goes hard on Warner Brothers management, not on Ezra. This is a huge failure, and I think a debacle that potentially, of course, you can't blame all of Ezra's actions on Warner Brothers, but enabling has been a big issue at this company way back to Jeff Johns.
Yes, just to chime in on that real quick. What I would say is, this might be controversial, I'll just say it. I feel like they probably should have taken action when the choking incident happened. Action against Ezra should have been taken a while ago. And the fact that it's taken this long,
and then
I think is a failure on their part.
Didn't that happen before they started filming The Flash?
Yes, it did. It happened a few months before. Yep.
So this is why ultimately, regardless of what's happening, they should have paused then and be like, can we do this? Can we do this with this actor? And it all goes back to the whole thing. It's not just there's a pattern with Ezra, but there's also a pattern with WB leadership not handling things, procrastinating, letting things slide, and they have lots of PR disasters right now, including the Amber Heard situation. It's just, I'm starting to go back onto the Ray Fisher side, even though he was getting annoying with me too, bringing up every time. But if they would have handled things better, and even though it wasn't Hamada's fault, the Ray Fisher situation, if he would have handled that better, because they did actually do that article that was trying to discredit him instead of acknowledging the issues and say, we want to thank Ray for his one. It would have been you could have handled it a lot better than the way Hamada did. We want to thank Ray for bringing this to our attention. He did an amazing job in the Snyder Cut. All these things would have gone little things you could do as
well. There's been a lot of failure to properly address.
No, it's not just there's a lot here. So let's get to also this is interesting. I see this on Twitter. Now this isn't an official thing, but this is just a quick glimpse of what the Joker face may be. It's like it's unofficial. It's like I guess it's a fan doing this.
Yeah, it's a custom artwork for a figure that a fan's making. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that some work is amazing. The artwork. I don't know how marketable this is as a character, because Joker really has to hit with the general audiences. I don't know. There's a lot of questions for me. What's your quick impressions of this? Maybe with makeup on, would it?
I like it. I mean, for starting off Joker, I mean, we've seen disfigured Jokers like this before. It looks a lot like some of the artwork of Lee Bermejo. So, I mean, I'm cool with this. I want to see more of it.
I ultimately think that. Do you think that Pattinson's version of Batman could have had something to do with the way his face is so disfigured, the way he goes, "I am vengeance," and just wails on a person?
No, from what I understand, what Matt Reeves said is that he was born like this. He had like a physical ailment that caused his skin to be like this. To where he has smile. So
I put fired ? And then I titled it also, is this possible based on the backlash from Ezra and other situations? It's not just one thing. Is my speculation that he's not going to get the official word fired. Subvert your expectations with the title of the video. It's more like he's not going to get his contract extended.
So
honestly, is what I
can I share something about the Toby Emmerich thing real quick?
Yes.
Okay, so I know some people have issues with Deadline, but this isn't coming. Like, I know Deadline was the first to report on this, but Business Insider is saying the same thing now. Toby Emmerich will be staying with Warner Brothers after the Discovery merger. So if you read the article, it kind of goes over who's leaving and who's staying.
Well, here's why I think the Ann Cernoff.
Well, the majority of the people leaving are people in the Keelar camp. Matt.
Yeah,
that's what they're saying. The Keelar camp people are leaving.
This is my speculation as to why I think this is happening now, whereas the Emmerich may not. You don't really need to get rid of him right now. You could just let his contract go. They are actively interviewing for people for his job. And I will go to my pal Sil. Yeah, I do have that article ready to go as well.
Oh, this one from Business Insider?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But here, these are now. Say if you disagree with this, Sil says he's bringing facts here. Whoever needs to hear that. Oh, let me bring this up. Whoever needs to hear this, it's publicly known that Zaslav has actively interviewed people to run the film division, aka Toby Emmerich's job. So have you heard that as well?
I can only speak personally for myself. No, I have not heard the same thing. But to be fair, I haven't been paying as close of attention to like all the nitty-gritty details.
Yeah,
I mean, when it doesn't. It's not really. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if this was the case because again, they might be thinking about who should get the job after his contract's up.
Yeah. Honestly, the path of least resistance for a high-paying executive like that, I think, would just be let him finish his contract. interview people that maybe could replace him and just do it that way. And then the reason that you're getting the Band-Aids ripped off with Keelar and Cernoff, from in my speculation, my subjective opinion is that they're a lot of them are redundant now, and it's just they're doing away with a lot of those jobs from the Warner Media, in between, right? That's what I'm thinking. I could be wrong too. This is all just fun speculation, but I do want to let's get to Mikey and Sil first. Now, this is 3 sources now that have confirmed. I think Grace was the first one that said that she heard the delay was, she did this last week. Didn't she say that before?
She said this.
Or no, she said it after. She said it after it happened.
She said it as soon as the story broke that this was a thing going around.
Okay. Yeah. So from her, then John Campea, and now Mikey too is saying that he has sources saying they are doing meetings on what to do. So this needs to be covered. I still wish him the best. I hope this is all in the past, but we haven't heard anything either since that, which is kind of weird. Hold on, let me bring this up here. It's not going to be a long clip, and then we'll go to react to Campea, and then we'll be done with this quick video. I am going to do regular MME later.
Yeah, do you want to talk about the Rolling Stone article?
Yeah, I'll bring that up too. Hold
Okay.
on. Let me see here.
What the fuck was that? I mean,
Oh,
to the old Big Willie, right? Where he's
they're talking about
nice
the
cuddly
difference
guy.
between.
And then he's going like Rex in his dead shot.
Bel Air. I mean, come on. They'll go back to that. I mean, Will Smith has 35 years of history.
They're saying
as
that
an
Will
entertainer.
should be okay if he gets damage
I
control and
remember
gets the head
when
of it. But
Parents Just Don't Understand came out. I just moved back to America when that came out. That was one of the first videos I saw on MTV when I returned from the
it
Philippines.
expires the end of this year,
That's how far
Miguel.
back
So
it
I don't
goes.
think they need to remove him.
That's
really.
how far it goes back. Yeah.
But look, he doesn't have a bad reputation. I think it's understood. He got caught up in the moment. It was ugly to watch, but he was caught up in the moment. His wife has that condition where.
Now, do you agree with Mikey here that Will be okay in the future if he gets control of this?
I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like it's constantly evolving. I mean, so many projects that Will Smith was going to.
Well, he does have a lot longer track record than
he does.
Ultimately, the event was worse for Will than it was for Ezra.
Well, because we saw what happened to Will Smith. The Ezra thing, we're going off of secondhand information. We saw what happened with Will Smith live on television. Millions of people around the world watched it happen. So I feel like it's a different situation just because of that as well.
Yeah.
Well, so I think there's some empathy towards Will. Like some guys can relate to that. Hey, you don't mess with my wife. My woman, right? Yep. Whereas Ezra, what the fuck was that? I mean, that's scary shit.
It
right?
is.
I mean,
it is. And then I just to give you a preview of the John Campea show, a lot of this has to do with mental illness too. And we respect mental illness here on MME. It's a nuanced conversation.
It's a serious thing. And
yeah, but something Chris Carr said on the stream is people were giving excuses. Well, he may be bipolar. And honestly, I know about bipolar. That's in my family. They thought I might have had it before, that I may have some of that as well. It's in my family history. It still does not excuse violence. When it gets to that point, that's not an excuse, and it needs to be examined. And a lot of this, I think Will and Ezra both have it. Honestly, I think it actually is a big thing with creative people. No, it's a big thing with a lot of people, but once you go past the point to threats and violence, you can't just say, oh, well, this is that. No, that's, I'm a big advocate for mental health, and I talk to people and I take my medicine. I'm not going to interject my stuff onto you. That's not fair. I'm just telling everyone out there that RJ, you know, I've consistently shared my information on my struggles. When I was at my worst, I was messing up with my medicine. When I was at my worst, this is just my personal experience. I'm not saying it doesn't. That's the other thing. When you have a history of it and you share it, you can't really put that on other people. Everyone's different. This is what helped me. That's all I can say. And this is not advice. I'm just telling you what helped me. That's another thing I have to clarify. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what helped me is I talked to someone, and now I take my medicine every single day instead of messing up my medicine. And I've been a lot more consistent, you know. And sleep schedule is something I still struggle with because I have an active mind. I'm always thinking about stuff, and it's, you know, but it's really helped me personally. No advice here. I'm just saying, but it's a big discussion about, you know, people in the industry and how it's affecting them and all this added eyes on them, and, you know, treat them like people too. But yeah, I agree. What the F? I can't excuse the behavior. It's very sad, and he had a promising career, and I don't think you can trust him. And just like Toby, yes, Rhea, we could listen. If you want, I could do a needs. I have to be careful how I approach it because you don't want to give people advice on the internet. But I could do how important it is a discussion in both online fandoms and the entertainment industry and why everything is so volatile right now. I think it's because I honestly, in my opinion, RJ, I think it's because people don't really want to talk about mental health and they just dismiss it or they just walk away from it, you know. Society, RJ, do you think that's a potential issue? It's just not really talked about as much, or even in our own families sometimes. People like, oh yeah, they have this, but it's kind of like put to the side. Oh, let me see what Nicotina says. I'm not skipping your comment. What did Nicotina say? Okay, Zeverfett scooped last night on your show, Max, that Toby was not going to let go. Why aren't we watching that stream? Okay. All right. Well, let's see what else Sil and Mikey have to say. I just wanted to do that real quick because it's multiple sources now about these meetings. And then I really want to get to the camp. Did you see the Campia one yet?
Which one?
From today.
No, I saw the clip of him talking about the Ezra.
It's really good because I really like. I think Campia is getting better as a commentator than he has in the past. I really do.
He's always been solid. I know people like to make fun of him, but I
think he's getting better addressing differences of opinions as well. And I think the group that he has right now is the tightest group he's had.
Well, he has a great, a good group of people to bounce off of. That's the other thing too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ray, I agree. Be careful with it, but it's becoming a huge issue in Hollywood. Oh, CJH. Thank you, CJH. Let's get his super chat. Best thing instead of recasting is introduce Wally West. That way Barry gets put aside until Ezra seeks help. He could also be messed up from his past roles, and he's done that were dark.
Here's what I'll say to that. Here's the thing.
Yes, thank you, right? CGH as well. Yes.
Here's what I'll say to that. It's how to put this, because I'm trying to be very delicate and sensitive. But here's the ultimate thing. This is a business. It's a business, and if he is not reliable, if he is a liability to the studio, think about actors insurance and a bunch of other components of this. If he is a liability and he's not worth the financial risk, they don't have to go forward with him. What I will say is
like any other contract. Yeah.
Yes. And what I will say is also as well, this is a very opportune time for them because what are they introducing? The multiverse. Yes. So if there was ever a time they wanted to move on and pivot away from him, they could do it right now and nobody would blink an eye. Because narratively, they can make it make sense.
Where it's going to be more obvious in the future.
Yes, like if they are going to do it, like this would be the most opportune time to do it. And I honestly believe, personally, just speculation on my part, I think they're going to weigh their options. I could see it to where they recast the role and with some reshoots, it's a different actor at the end of the Flash film than Ezra Miller.
Mm.
Like when he goes to the new timeline and things get reset.
RWP18, I did a little clickbait because I do fired because it's a very algorithm friendly term on YouTube and the internet. But honestly, no one really gets fired. Their contracts just get. So I'm subverting your expectations of what fired means in Hollywood. Your contract just doesn't get extended. Just this is the situation where I think both Ezra and Emmerich are in the same boat. I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest that Toby Emmerich contract will not get expired at the end of this year. I will be shocked if it does. I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's.
I think they're going to evaluate how good a job he does in the transition period and how good a job he does with the slate of movies they have coming out in the next year. Okay. I think if the slate of movies they have coming out next year are good, and he can be a good transitional leader as they go from the merger into the new era. If he can impress Zaslav, there's a possibility he stays.
My apologies to Ryan Zieverfett. Honestly, last night I was having a hard time understanding everyone, and that's not your problem. That was my problem, Ryan. So if you said something about Toby last night, I kind of missed it, and I apologize. I was watching this at work.
Well, I was going to say too, I wasn't the only one.
I do my deepest apologies, Ryan. I don't remember what you said. I'll have to rewatch the stream last night. We should be watching last night's stream. Okay. Well, Scooper Ryan Zieverfett, I'm sorry. I don't know where. It's a 3-hour stream. I'd have to find where it was at. And we're going to move on to John Campia now, too. Let's just like do 30 more seconds of this. He basically confirms that he's heard some things, too, about meetings.
Yes.
Well, imagine being that person that Ezra was accosting, and you're just a normal person.
Crazy.
You know?
Crazy stuff. So, I mean, I think the main thing to take away from this before we pass this is that Zaslav is taking this seriously.
He's taking it very seriously, and he's consulting with I'm sure attorneys as well. Not just people on his team, but I'm sure he's consulting with attorneys.
Listen, Nicotina, I know it's on my own show. What's happening on the show is the show's been doing good. So when there's a lot of people on, I have a hard time focusing on more than one thing at once, or one more per. So maybe that's not the best to have 10 people on. I'm just telling you that I'm being honest, though. RJ knows this is about me, right? I sometimes don't notice things or sometimes miss things.
Well, yeah, I was going to mention too. I was not the only one who came up with that theory. By the way, I know Casey, you also said something similar. I just think, logically, if you're going to recast, you recast now while you have a narrative excuse to do so.
I will do an apology video to you for you, Ryan. All right, so that's all you really needed to hear there. That's the only. I just wanted. The only reason I did Mikey and Sil specifically today is I wanted to highlight 3 different sources, because now we got Grace was first, not Mikey and Sil, that said she heard it was delayed because of the situation. And and remember when I questioned her, RJ, I'm like, I don't like that she's throwing this out there unless she's absolutely sure. And then the other stuff came, and then we're going to go to the John Campia show, which I really like the reaction. The only reason I did that, Nicotina, and I wanted 3 sources on this. This needs to be talked about. And I really like how hard, I'm going to give him a thumbs up, how hard John went. You call him a shill. This proves he's not. This proves John Campia is not a shill. Ryan says, rehab for Ezra. No one is replacing him in Dumbledore.
Well, the difference is that Dumbledore comes out in 2 weeks. The movie is literally about to come out. This Flash movie is still 15 months away, and they can reevaluate.
And look what they did to Johnny Depp in that franchise too. They don't necessarily need him for the next one. No spoilers, but they go ahead, RJ.
I was gonna say, and they don't need Ezra Miller in the sequel to the Flash or in subsequent movies either. They're gonna say, multiverse reasons he changed. It's a different guy.
No, everyone has a bias too, but I'm actually gonna change the title. This proves Campia is not a show.
Well, that's what I was gonna say too. Like, here's where I get frustrated, Max, and just let me vent for a second. Just
sure.
Degrassi's 100% correct. Here's the thing, though. I am so sick and tired of people trying to claim that everything's fake news, that everything's not true, simply because they don't like what's being reported. I don't like that trend of us saying, well, this organization, this news website was donated by such and such political group, or this news organization, they I don't like their writers. I think they're biased. Like, just read the reports and what they say. You don't have to believe it. Or,
well, even if someone was nasty to, I've heard some potential reports that even if people were being potentially phobic towards him in a certain way, that is horrendous. But there is still some constraint in handling these situations, especially if that doesn't. It's a weird situation. We don't want to hear that either. That's horrible to hear that there's potential there. But it's really, is it at every bar that he's experiencing this though, or is he searching it out? I have no idea.
Well, that's something. There's like conflicting information. There's some stuff coming out just now that is against what's being said. I'm looking at some things actually right now. There's an account that's kind of been cataloging some things. Whereas earlier this March, there were people saying some things about him in Hawaii, saying that they had encounters with him.
I think this could potentially been avoided if they would have handled this situation even before start filming, because they had warning signs before.
They should have. They should have handled this before it started filming.
Just their hands-off approach is not working. I mean, there's problems all across the board with WB.
The problem is that they stuck their heads in the sand saying la 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 la, just make it go away. And that's how they got past the choking incident. They acted like nothing happened. They didn't even talk about it. I feel like this, though, because it's a public arrest, it's pretty much impossible to move away from. There's no way you can deny this and act like it didn't happen, which is what they did with the choking incident.
Let's react to Campy, because this is great movie talk here.
Here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break the show down into two parts. In the first half of the show, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics like ambulance and Moon Knight and things like that. And then after that, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you'd like to get a live comment or question on the show, simply use the super chat feature in the YouTube live chat, which I will turn on right now. Go ahead and throw in a comment or question. We'll read those off when we get to the end of the show. Now, I am going to turn off the super chats once we've reached maximum capacity for them, so that'll probably be about 5 minutes.
Oh wow!
So go ahead and send those in as you can. All right,
maximum capacity.
We got a lot of stuff to cover here today, so let's not waste any more time and let's get right into it with an off the top. And let's start with this. Ezra Miller. It just seems like every day we got something to talk about Ezra Miller. Obviously, you guys know what's been going on. 2 years ago, the thing with the choke. Then the whole thing at the bar, the karaoke, getting arrested. Then the next day we find a restraining order taken against him because he threatened to kill some people.
Listen, regardless of what you're dealing with, that there's no justification for that. And that has to be consistent across the board. And bringing that up is not cancel culture. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I mean, like I said, obviously we don't know what spurred that argument, but no argument should ever be escalated to the point where you say you're going to bury a couple. Like, I'm sorry.
No. We have to draw the line and not call everything cancel culture either. I know people get annoyed with the accountability word, but really,
well, we have to hold people accountable for their actions always.
Yeah, and
that's how it should be.
Just because you say something should be done doesn't mean you're trying to cancel the person either. It doesn't. This is not okay. Once it goes to, threats and, putting your hands on people, that's not okay. We're not animals, are we? We're not animals or children, regardless of I don't want to
act like children.
I don't want to diminish people going through things either, but we're still adults, and we're people, not animals. Yes, it is. It is important. And that's not canceling. Accountability is not canceling people.
All that kind of stuff, the weird online behavior and whatnot. But then yesterday, I told you guys on the show, I said,
he sort of covers the Rolling Stone article, so we don't really have to.
That they are discussing their options when it comes to Will Smith, when it comes to Ezra Miller. Sorry, it's interchangeable these days. When it comes to Ezra Miller. And I said, now look, to be clear, I don't know definitively what that means. What does it mean that they're discussing their options? Does it mean they're discussing how to get rid of him? Are they discussing how to just cover it up and play it off like nothing ever happened, like they did a couple of years ago? We said we don't know what that means. It might mean a lot, might mean nothing, but that I was told that they were discussing their options. Well, this morning, Rolling Stone magazine published an article with the headline that reads, Ezra Miller arrest prompts emergency Warner Brothers meeting about the star's future.
Hey,
this
Brian,
basically confirmed everything that I was told and that I mentioned to you guys yesterday
real quick
about what was going on. Now, instead of trying to ad-lib it a bunch, let's just...
I was going to mention, like, Campia was correct. He said the other day that they were having discussions about what to do, and lo and behold, an article comes out. I mean, again, props to him. I know some people don't like John Campia, but yep, he got this correct. Whoever he talked to at Warner Brothers, he's got a source over there, and they confirmed, we're having a discussion about what to do.
I understand Degrassi, but we're getting to a point with entertainment industry that avoiding these things is becoming it's killing companies. Listen, there's so much money riding on this and so much future of the studio in DC that this cannot not be addressed. It's not like if it was maybe if it was like what's the other lower budget movie that's coming out? Not Black Adam, Shazam 2,
Blue Beetle,
or something like that, but this has to be discussed right now. I don't think they could just wait and see.
Well, because the reason you have to discuss it now is because think about it like this. You know how movies do the press junket?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Oh, they addressed that in this video. This is why it's great movie talk. This is why I wanted you to watch this with me.
Okay.
Well, I was gonna watch it alone, but I'm happy you're here too, because there were some great points in here.
Just go in. I'm going to read some of the stuff that's in this article here to get a better idea about what it is they're talking about. And they're saying the following. They're saying this. Where is it? On March 30th, Warner Brothers and DC executives held an emergency impromptu meeting to discuss Ezra Miller's future with the studio following the Flash star's recent arrest for disorderly conduct and harassment. According to knowledgeable source, the consensus in the room was to hit pause on any future projects involving Ezra Miller, including possible appearances in the DC cinematic universe. The studios had more than a year before it had to make any decisions about a potential sequel to The Flash. Warner Brothers also had avoided making any key decisions on tentpoles ahead of Discovery taking control of Warner Media in a $43 billion mega merger. Warner Media chief Ann Sarnoff announced on Tuesday that she was exiting the company, as did Jason Kilar, and we talked about that yesterday, as AT&T spins off its entertainment division to Discovery. Last month, Warner Brothers moved Andre Muschietti's helmed first installment, The Flash, a production fraught with drama, from November 4th, 2022 to June 23rd, 2023. Now, here's where it gets concerning. One insider told Rolling Stone.
Yeah, this is not good to hear. Although there wasn't a lot of substance to the claims, though, when they get to the insider's comments. But and I know RJ has to leave soon, so we'll do this quick.
That Miller had, quote unquote, frequent meltdowns, including production last year on The Flash. While the insider stresses there was no violent outbursts, they described Miller as, quote unquote, losing it. Ezra would get a thought in his head and say, I don't know.
That's sad to hear. That is very sad to hear.
No, that's very sad to hear. And I wonder if this ties into what Grace was saying about there being some production issues and some things going on in Ezra's life. If like something happened on the set, or I don't know.
And honestly, spoiler warning, the whole plot of The Flash, multiple personalities and stuff, that is hard to do when you're dealing with issues. I'm sorry. To do multiple versions of yourself. Because this may have been one of his most challenging roles, to do that many versions of himself. Spoiler, I think we know 2. There may even be 3 versions of himself.
Yeah, there's at least 2 versions. Yeah, well, actually, it's 3 including the.
So
spoiler.
It's very, very taxing, especially if you're going through stuff. Is my take on that.
know what I'm doing, the insider told Rolling Stone. And then the rest of the article just basically goes on to reaffirm everything else we had already heard at this point. Yeah, I should have turned off the super chats like a minute ago. Okay, so
all right, gloating again. I get it.
Here, look, I know Ezra Miller's been coming up a lot. I am getting as tired about talking about the Ezra Miller situation as anybody else. But the reality,
you have to report the news, though. Everyone, you have to report what's going on. It's we if we want to take this seriously, movie talk. I'm here for fun too, but we got to talk about this stuff.
Is we've got Fantastic Beasts coming out,
right? And that's why
the Flash
relevant.
Is like one of the most highly anticipated, at least out of the DC camp, movies coming out. Where are they going to go with this after this? Because a lot of people have been saying that this Flash movie serves as an impromptu reset for the DC movie, for the DC cinematic universe, I should say. And the Flash is going to kind of be the epicenter of that. So clearly he was figuring a lot into whatever their future plans are going to be. I'm not saying that the DC.
Well, I agree, Brian. But it sounds like from that Rolling Stone article, and get RJ's opinion here too, it sounds like it's more than just substance. It's like I'll tell you what, when I had it's
severe mental health issues.
Yeah, when in my family, when I went through I'm not saying it's the same for everyone again. It was around that age. Things were really, I'm just saying, from my experience, I'm not saying it's the same. I'm saying, if it's that too, no wonder they may be in crisis mode there. He obviously, even before this happened, it seemed like they delayed it. Maybe they're worried he couldn't handle the pressure of the press tour, and now it's obvious.
Well, that's why I'm saying they need to have an emergency meeting about this, because again, how can you have him in his current mental state be at the forefront of your marketing campaign and your press junket? That you can't. Not unless he gets the proper help and care that he needs, so he can get better to be mentally prepared for that. Because it's very taxing to go on a press junket tour. You're doing all the interviews. You're doing, you are the star of the film. You're going on TV. You're talking about the movie with a variety of people. You're interacting with fans. It's mentally taxing. And if you're not in that capacity where you're prepared for that, it can go awry. It could be a public nightmare for them. So,
all right.
Universe was now going to be built around Ezra Miller, but he was clearly going to be a key part of whatever that future was. And now they're saying they're putting pause on anything else involving him moving forward.
Pause.
And we said yesterday that from a PR point of view, that he was a walking powder keg, that he was he's a walking nightmare that you never knew when to do. And this is all a result of Warner Brothers failing to do anything about it or address it 2 years ago when that incident happened outside of the bar. But now here we are. Rob, let me go over to you on this. So we are hearing now from Rolling Stone that they did have meetings to discuss their options. They're saying that he was
okay. Let's clear this up, and then RJ has to probably head out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, but before you go, if they decide to stick with Ezra, will you support that decision? I will. I mean, as long as there's some.
I would only support that decision if I knew that it was being made in the best interest of Ezra and Ezra's own mental well-being. Ezra needs proper care, whether it be rehab, whether it be counseling. Something needs to be done. Okay, I think that putting a pause on working with him it's a big
they don't really need to fire him. They just not going to move forward with another project.
They're not going to move forward with them, which is basically, I mean, we talked about this earlier with the Toby Emmerich thing. Yeah. In my opinion,
that's what happens.
It's almost like you're saying you're going to let him go. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. I think they're going to evaluate where he's at, but I'm telling you this right now. If there's another public incident or if there's anything that comes out,
well, honestly, too, something that could change the whole subject is if the Flash comes out and it gets No Way Home numbers. I don't think that's going to happen, but
I'd be hard pressed to see that.
No. I know, but just the scenario that could potentially they might revisit it then.
The movie would need to be such a massive hit, and people would have to love Ezra Miller so much in that movie. That's the only way I could really see him pushing forward.
All right. Well, RJ, I know you have to look. I wanted to get to the hard stuff, but maybe you could cover it on your stream. I'll give you a timestamp if you want.
Yeah.
I'll send
I'm
you
gonna go live. I'm gonna go live in a few minutes. I'll probably be talking about the Doctor Strange stuff first. So
yeah, and I'll tell you where it's at because it's worth reacting to. All right,
yes.
thanks, RJ, and then I'm gonna keep going for
Bye,
a few
everybody.
more minutes here. Go check out RJ after I'm done here. All right, so you got to hear this. I think it's great movie talk. I really like what John says about Warner Brothers and how hard he goes after them, and they deserve every part of it. They deserve every part of it, and I think Emmerich and Hamada, but more so Emmerich, needs to be in the discussion of the future of if him being staying on should be in the discussion based on their failures. Yes. Don't forget to, Ray, if you could link up his stream so it could go over there right after. All right.
The problem on set of The Flash, they're saying they're going to put pause on any projects involving him moving forward. What do you think about the report from Rolling Stone, and what do you think ultimately is going to happen here?
Well, I think it's unfortunate. You know, I think Ezra Miller is a fine actor. I really liked him, and we have to talk about Kevin. Let's talk about Kevin.
We need to talk about Kevin.
We need to talk about Kevin. I thought he was phenomenal in that. I loved him in Perks of Being a Wallflower. You know, in the Fantastic Beasts movies, he's great, and I really liked him as the Flash. He is a talented actor, but the thing is, in this day and age, with the amount of money that these tentpole movies cost, there is no time or inclination to put up with that kind of behavior on a set.
I agree with R&B.
And some people just aren't, they're not wired to, I mean, he's now carrying a 9-figure movie, a movie in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And you know, there are many performers in Hollywood, many that
Thank you, Hans.
A movie like that and be a complete joy to work with. Now, I understand it's an incredible amount of pressure on anyone, any performer. It could be the most amenable actor in the world. But to have that kind of pressure when you're front and center on a film that costs over $100 million, I don't even know what that's like. So when he says things like in this article, I don't know what I'm doing, I've seen actors that say that. And many actors don't because they don't communicate with their director well. When I hear an actor talk about that, at least he's worried about his performance and what he's doing, like assuming what's there. So, you know, clearly, I hope he obviously needs to get some kind of help, and I hope he gets that kind of help because I would love to see him continue on and develop a rich career. But on the other hand, I also hate to see performers do these kinds of things because it's not fair to the crew.
Thank you,
It's
Hans.
not fair to the director. It's not fair to the writer. It's not fair to the studio. And it's not fair to the other actors.
I agree with that too. This is why also I think it's worthy discussion. It's not fair to everyone involved. There's a lot of jobs on the line, not just Ezra's. Don't forget that. It's not just Ezra's. It's the director. They don't even though they may care, you know, it's a human life now and what they're going through. It's affecting everyone. And when your stuff starts affecting everyone else and people's jobs, it has to be discussed.
And
it's not like we're prying into personal stuff. You're making it public by having public outbursts.
Well, Laurence Olivier told Dustin Hoffman on the set of Marathon Man, Dustin, it's acting.
Look, and here's the other thing about this too. Like, and I said this back when the original incident happened with the choking and everything. I said, Warner Brothers isn't doing Ezra Miller any favors by not addressing this.
Yes. Right.
This is only going to hurt Ezra Miller later on.
This is why I wanted to cover this. I think the executives, Toby Emmerich and the rest, they should be held accountable for not managing their talent and not course correcting them. And this potentially could have been avoided if they would have handled it back then before filming The Flash. Now look what this is. This disaster, this PR disaster with a tentpole film could be yes, they didn't do him any favors. They enabled him. Toby Emmerich, Warner Brothers enabled Ezra to do this by not addressing it back then before they filmed The Flash.
If you address it now, it'll course correct later. And here we are. Anyway, Chris, this has been a topic of conversation a lot recently for all the wrong reasons. But now we're hearing from Rolling Stone that Warner Brothers is indeed taking this seriously. That what I was told yesterday about the meetings is true, and they're saying they're going to pause any future stuff with him at the moment. Then now we're hearing for the first time, at least this is the first time I'm hearing about on-set problems as well. What do you think about the article? What stood out to you, and what do you think happens from here?
I mean, the big takeaway from this article is that it's nice to see action is actually.
Zeno, I appreciate you. No censorship here. I'm not dragging his name through the mud. He's dragging his own name through the mud. It is a disaster. He needs help. I still would support. I've gone on record on this very stream that says if WB wants to go forward with him, I'm fine with that. I want to see another Flash movie. I want to see him in Justice League. I don't want him replaced. Ultimately, that lies on WB. When you get to this point, though, and it's affecting the whole production, it's serious. Okay. Sorry to hear that, Zeno. No, we don't know why they didn't address it back then. Okay.
Being considered.
Yeah.
And that's what we really need to talk about. Considered. Action's not being taken. Action being
Considering
considered.
is an action.
Exactly. Having a great talk about something doesn't do anything. As we keep talking about, the theme of these shows the last few weeks has been changed behavior. Changed behavior is what atones for the sins of the past. All right. And that's why cancel culture isn't always great, because people should be able to grow and change. That being said, Ezra's pattern of behavior has shown that they definitely need help, that they are doing things that are not great, that they have a pattern here that they continue to exhibit and continue to show everyone the person they're being right now. So there definitely needs to be a change here. There needs to be some kind of intervention when it comes to alcohol use and things like that. Once again, to the folks in the chat here who keep saying things about people having bipolar disorder, and that's why this happens. Once again, family members of mine have bipolar. This does not mean you are predispositioned to being violent. And we really need to stop that part of this narrative, because it's a damaging narrative that further isolates people within the mental health community. So let's knock that off and let's have a better discussion, right? We have a whole bunch of things that could be.
I agree. I mean, I think she could have been nicer the way she delivered that information. She wasn't overly snarky, but I agree with her sentiment there, though. Yes.
Factors that could be explanations. None of them are excuses. Not a single thing here that Ezra is doing is an excuse for their behavior. So we need to have them sit down with themselves, really, really think about how they've been doing, the kind of life that they want to have, the kind of things they've been doing that affects other people's well-being and safety, that affects film franchises, and really take a hard look at themselves. I really
Aaron,
don't think they should be on this.
I remember when we were talking about Ezra Miller another time, and this is before the report came out about on-set incidents. I remember you saying, I guarantee you there were incidents on set. I guarantee you there were incidents on set. Now, of course, we hadn't heard of any at this time. Now we are hearing about them. Anyway, what stood out to you about the article, and what do you think happens from here?
Well, first of all, Rob, I love that you pointed out that the quote of "I have no idea what I'm doing." Okay, we do not need to read anything into that. I have said that a million times, and I've never had this sort of, breakdown or issue, whatever is going on in their life. That is not an uncommon thing. You could be in the middle of a very challenging.
I see. That's the part of the article I didn't like. That seems very natural for actors and actresses on set to say, "Well, I don't know what I'm doing," but then the outbursts. Okay. It's none of our effing business. If they do it on live TV or in public, I don't want to know what's happening with Ezra. I just want, honestly, I don't want to know their business. I'm sorry. I don't want to use the wrong pronoun. I don't want to know their business. I don't.
Scene or a scene.
Why are we? I'm going to end it here though. But why are we so concerned, like with everything else? Thank you, Brian. I also don't want to know their business. It is affecting the whole production, and it's causing issues for a lot of people, including Muschietti. Muschietti has a great opportunity here with the Flash film. And this is, unfortunately, all right, I'll take this off now. Unfortunately, with the way the entertainment industry is becoming, a lot of more of their stuff has been going into the public, and you don't have to go to TMZ to find it. Look at the Oscars. That's where I'll end it here. If it happens in movie talk, if it goes to the general public, I'm gonna cover it, and I'm gonna give my thoughts on it. And I honestly don't want to know their personal info. And when it gets to the point where there's threats or people putting their hands on everyone, listen, if you want to know, if you want to see how consistent I am with this, during the night of the Oscars, when stuff was happening, I didn't want to know what was happening. I didn't really want to cover it at first. The business of entertainment shouldn't be entertainment. And you know what, Degrassi? I agree with you. I'm not entertained by this. It's a discussion. And I think if we avoid it, just like WB management has avoided it, this could have potentially been avoidable. And I also think part of this discussion is, in my opinion, my subjective opinion, avoiding mental health discussions is the reason society is like this right now. The reason things keep happening is because, it's not our business when it happens in the public. I don't want to get into people's business that's not made public. When you make your situation public and we just avoid it and we don't talk about it, I think that's why things get so volatile. Just ignore it, just enable and potentially enable it. But that's my take on this one. I should be back later with MME. I wanted to give my quick thoughts on this, and I've honestly been a little frustrated because I would be happy to discuss something else later on. This is developing. This is happening now. When's the appropriate time to talk about it? After the fact? During? This is movie talk to me. I don't want to cancel anyone. I will support them going forward, Ezra. But this is also why things are the way they are. A lot of not dealing with issues, not discussing issues, just brushing off issues and getting too emotional. Nothing on this stream is going to get Ezra fired. Nothing on this video is going to get Toby, contract not extended. Why talk about anything? I don't get it. I don't get it. But I'll talk more about this later. And hopefully something different later. I wanted to get this out of the way now because I know the opinions are so sensitive about the specific topic that on a live stream with a full panel, it's not going to do well. This topic. So I wanted to discuss it now on my own. RJ just was available. And I'm, trying different content as well. But I honestly, in my opinion, not talking about it isn't doing anyone any favors either. Not talking about, what's happening in the industry. This is not just Ezra. This is not just Will. It's a trend with people in the entertainment industry. And they really shouldn't get a free pass when we don't either for this type of behavior. Nothing would make me happier than to just talk about Ezra Miller and the Flash movie coming up and his future in the entertainment industry. Nothing would make me happier. And I will support any decisions that are made going forward with this future. But I also think, like Campia said, they're not doing him any favors, potentially enabling this behavior. But that's where I'll end it. Frank E says, keep up the good work, Mad Max. I appreciate that. This is where Lacron, I don't think discussions about what should happen ultimately means that someone's trying to cancel him. I'm not trying to cancel the dude. All right, let me see Degrassi. I'm not a goalpost jockey or fence sitter. WB is going to distribute Rebel Moon theatrically for Netflix. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Go Birds. Really? Is that accurate, Degrassi? That's really, I'll research that. I didn't know that. They're going to distribute Rebel Moon for Netflix. They have, I don't know. That's interesting. Thanks for the heads up there. And I'll talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.